Now, the next speaker is a youngster representing the millennial population. Priyam is a director with NK Proteins, and NK Proteins has a brand called Tirupati, which is possibly one of the topmost, or rather the top cotton oil brand in the country, and one of the real success stories of regional brands in India. Over to you, Priyam.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Atulji. Before we begin, I'd just like to say a couple of things. Like Piyushji rightly said that during the Second World War, when the Blitz was happening in London, there was bombing happening for almost 4 to 5 months every day. At nights, people would go into the shelters. In the morning, they'll get up back and go back to the offices or to their work and come back and sleep in the shelters while the bombing happens. So this is a kind of a scenario that the world has come out of. I think we can again come out of this. We don't know when, but very time soon. So today I'll be talking about how digital is going to change the way for edible oil industry and overall as an industry, and also about edible oil industry in particular. So let's say it's September, maybe 2020, 2021, and the vaccine for coronavirus is there, and we've started looking at way of coming back to life. People are getting back together at coffee shops, workaholics will be in the boardrooms, so you're going to the movies, but it's not still going to be the same. There is still going to be a lot of change in our lives from the corona virus, and the whole experience of human behavior is going to change. And keeping that in mind, the end of business as usual is not there. We will see a lot of surge in online, in digital, a lot of things which we cannot control. We'll have to go ahead with it. So how do we find the right solution? As business owners, as entrepreneurs, how do we deliver the solution and services to our consumers in this new reality with the new behavior? How we are seeing the consumers' needs and wants are changing. So basically looking at 4 basic factors. The first thing that Piyush Pandeyji also said is the trust factor. For a brand, it is the most important thing that the trust is there with the consumers. People are going to be more particular about buying the right stuff after the COVID-19 epidemic, because they would want to buy something which is familiar to them, which they can trust, which they've seen for a longer period of time, rather than going for something which is just new. So it is very important to build a trust among your consumers. Then again, the virtual shift, like this webinar that we're doing, would not have happened for the next 10 or 15 years if the COVID-19 epidemic would not have come. So we are seeing changes in not only a generation of millennials, but we're also seeing changes in the baby boomers. So everyone knows in the age gap of, let's say, between 50 to 70 is also now getting very comfortable with digital. People who've not been using, let's say, Hotstar, Netflix, and all of these other OTT services have also started using it. People have started spending more time online. The data consumption of India has drastically gone up. So all of this is, in perspective, is going to lead to a change in the digital marketing. So end of the day, again, because of the COVID-19, everything is about health. Now everyone is looking at health, your immunity. Like I think Isha is going to speak about after this, like Rice Brand has immunity. Everyone is talking about immunity. Everyone is talking about health. How can a brand talk about health, and why it is more important to talk about health right now than anything else? Because what people are looking for is health. Being an edible oil industry, obviously we have our facilities which are sanitized, which are very up to the international standards. So across board, people are going to have that impact. The home spending will be increasing. People are going to be at home more. Purchases online. A lot of things are going to be bought not physically but from home. A lot of things are going to be bought for home as well, because now that people have stayed at home for 2 months, they've realized that the most time that they've spent at home that what are the actual essential needs for the hour and for their houses, and all of those things will be bought for. So as advertisers or as brands, when we're looking at digital, what are the things that we are looking at? We need to make sure that we are communicating to our customers about the corporate values, about the concern that we have for the consumers, for the society in general, and for everyone else. The business model also needs to be supported. Ensure the bond that with our customers stays intact, like Piyush again said, that you do not need to, we need to be there to ensure that the bond is there. It does not need to disconnect at any point of time. So advertising and branding at this time can be expense, can be expense, can be an investment, but more of an investment, because the bond that you've been sharing with your customers for the past 20-25 years needs to be taken forward. They need to see you in these times to be more confident about your brand. So talking about shift to technologies, whole mobile and online businesses have drastically increased, and the changes are not, people are not going to go back. The people who've gotten used to the new way of working online, buying online, ordering food online, doing whatever online, is going to stay in the lifestyles. If not 100%, at least 50% is going to be there.
Minutes.
So talking about a brand like Zomato, how they took things forward. So within the COVID-19, they, rather than a food ready to eat food delivery, they've also started delivering groceries and a lot of more things. So these are the kind of things that people are looking at and changing to keep the businesses more sustainable. So for edible oil industry, what are we looking at? So the first thing, mobility restrictions will boost use of portals and apps for shopping. So presence online should be the utmost importance. In-home consumption of oil will accelerate growth, because like Anshu Malik ji said that the out-of-home industry is going to face a huge hurdle. So that consumption is going to go to in-house, and in-home consumption, when people are buying, your brand needs to be there in their kitchens. If they are not been buying a lot of packaged oils, if your brand is not visible right now, this is the best time for you to take the shelf space that can be there for a longer period of time. That in-home consumption increase is just going to be a growth for branded packaged oils, and brands will have to again restructure their supply chain strategies. Our traditional routes of marketing and supply has always been there, but we'll also have to look at all the grofers and big baskets and Amazons of the world to keep our supply chain intact. Post-COVID, digital and social media will be the mainline advertising tool rather than an advertising mix, which was there for the last decade. And even though what Piyush Pandey said, that it is going to be, people are not going to change the way they are, but the change in terms of consumption of media, in terms of consumption of day-to-day activities will go towards digital. And that is why everyone needs to be there on social media and marketing. So in the end, I would like to just sum up with a very nice this thing. Crisis in Chinese language is comprised of two characters. One represents dangers and the other represents opportunity. It is up to us, what do we make out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyam, for that wonderful presentation. I'm sure digital is the way forward, and with the new millennials like you all calling the shots, so this is going to be the way forward in the future.